Welcome back, colleagues, from the ad break. Now we are going to focus on the amendments on the school-based assessment in the senior phase. Kindly note that in senior phase, we have got a few changes wherein one will be expected to do mid-year and end-year exams instead of control tests that were done before. The reason why I'm starting with this part is very critical because even the weightings in senior phase have changed. We are no longer going to do the 80-20% of which is 80 school-based assessment and 20% exams. This time, the weightings have been changed. 60% now will be covering the school-based assessment and 40% will be covering the end-year examination. So in terms of the different program of assessment, we know that in grade 7, most of our assessment were out of 50 marks in terms of term 1 and 3, term 2 and term 4. It's still the same. Marks are still the same in grade 7. No changes. In term 1, we still have the project for geography. In term 2, we will be covering term 1 and 2. And in term 3, we'll be dealing with only term 3. Then in term 4, we'll deal with term 3 and term 4 content. But in terms of the mark allocation, for term 2, the control test there will be 15 marks and 35 marks. Then the last term will be 15 marks and 35 marks. Then same applies to history. In history, we'll still have the 50 marks. Then in term 2, there will be 15 marks for term 1 and 35 marks for term 2. Then in terms of essay writing, there will be no essay in June in term 2 in grade 7. The only essay will be available in term 4. In term 3, we're still going to do the term test as usual. Then in grade 8, we have got map skills for 50 marks. We have got term 2, that is 35 marks for term 1 and 40 marks for term 2. Then we'll still have the source base and paragraph writing there for 75 marks. Then in term 3, we'll still have our project under settlements for 50 marks and end-year examination, that is 35 marks for term 3, and term 4, it's 40 marks. In same applies with history, we'll have our different terms out of 50 in the first term and third term, out of 75 in the second term and in the fourth term. Then in grade 9, our map skills test number 1 in term 1 will be out of 50. In term 2, we will have our mid-year exam, term 1, 35 marks, and term 2, 40 marks. Then term 3, in geography, we will have our source base and paragraph out of 50. And in end-year examination, we'll have our term 3, 35 marks, and term 4, 40 marks. Grade 9 is a little bit different because we have got a project in the third term. The project, it's a longer project. It's called the oral history project, where learners will have to start early and make sure that they choose their topic, they do their interviews, they do everything, they summarize, they do their presentation. So that one is very important that you follow your annual teaching plan in terms of monitoring progress in terms of the project. The other terms will still be the same in terms of the mark allocation. You will have your term 2 with 75 marks and your term 4 with 75 marks again. In terms of the type of questions, you'll still have your source-based, your paragraph writing, and your essay writing exactly as it is indicated in the program of assessment for term 2 and term 4. Then, to emphasize what has been indicated earlier is that when you look at your annual teaching plan, you'll find that some of the content has been removed and some reorganized to enhance the flow and coverage. Then in terms of case studies and biographies, options will be given for teachers to select at least one. For example, in history grade 9, one will have to choose the biography, whether of Helen Joseph and so on. Then in terms of the control tests have been completely removed in the senior phase. In the mid-year exam will be written in June and the end-year exam will be written end of the year. So the concepts, control test, should you pick them up somewhere in your annual teaching plan, kindly note that those control tests in senior phase are now called mid-year, and at the end they are called end-year examination. No control test there. In terms of the weighting, we've got 60% and 40% for the exam. So otherwise, this actually takes us to the end of the presentation in terms of the amendments. I will re-emphasize, make sure that you use your annual teaching plan continuously. Don't put it away and focus on your textbook, because your textbook might mislead you. There will be content that has been removed or reorganized that you might not be able to teach it in the correct term, and that will jeopardize the performance of the learners. Thank you very much for being the greatest audience ever and watching this clip. Good luck with your 2023 annual teaching plans. Thank you.